Hello, everybody. Welcome along to today's update. Sorry, I am a little bit late. The Bayern game I was watching on BT Sport got a little bit interesting, so I stayed tuned for a little while longer before I thought I'd come on. Apologies as well for no notice in this. So if anyone appears in the stream, do say hello, and if we get enough people, we'll do some questions at the end. A little bit quiet on the stories front today. I think we're expecting big boom about sort of Monday time with lots of votes being settled. Welcome everybody in the chat. Lovely stuff. But a few stories kicking around. Germany are continuing on the pitch. Dortmund won again to close up to Bayern, but Bayern are now winning. And this Kai Havertz chap, who I'd never heard of until about 2 weeks ago, seems to be destroying everything in his path. So no doubt he's the kind of star of the lockdown in the Bundesliga at the moment. Really big game on Tuesday night there. This will be the football event of lockdown so far, is Bayern and Dortmund playing one another. So that could be a title decider. I'm sure BT will be very happy with the audience figures they can draw on Tuesday night. I'll certainly be tuned in. More importantly, though, no mass outbreaks, no real problems with the German start. We're on the second weekend now, and it is a 3-game week next week, so that might be some kind of test. But those people banging the drum for player safety in this country will hopefully be looking at Germany and seeing how well it's been going and how safe the players have managed to keep themselves following their protocols over there. It's only Dynamo Dresden in the second tier, but they had problems going in a couple of weeks ago. Actually, they had to quarantine, I think, most of their squad. So that's been the only disaster zone there in terms of not being able to play. Nothing any worse than that. So fingers crossed, all looking good in Germany, and perhaps we'll do some content for Tuesday night's big game, Der Super Classico, or something like that. I guess they're trying to say that it's a super version of Barcelona and Real Madrid. Well, it is the biggest game in lockdown, so maybe we'll have a look then. Get your thoughts in on any comments you want. If you're in the chat, I'll make the request again. It's really helpful. If you can hit the like button, apparently that does good things to my algorithms. We might be able to attract more people to come and join us. So hit that like button, that would be lovely. Interesting story, which I'm sure is going to grind a few gears in the chat and in the comments. At a time where clubs are at risk of going under and people can't afford to play, Manchester United, England's perhaps one of the greatest clubs, are going to sue the creators of Football Manager. This all kicked off. We've had United and SEGA and their expensive QCs arguing remotely about this, lots of legal language that I don't understand. The complaint, as I understand it, is that the game allegedly infringes the Manchester United trademark, which they've been using apparently on the Championship Manager game since 1992 or something mental like that. So they extensively use that throughout the game, but whilst extensively using it, they also don't use the crest. So kind of a bit of contradictory, but I'm sure both things are infringement of someone's intellectual property or whatnot. So sure the time is going to come across to a few people as a bit crass, but there you go. This is the difference between AFC Wimbledon or Rochdale or Accrington and Manchester United. That's what they're worrying about at the moment. Let me know where you stand on this one. Do they have a right to defend their intellectual property? Are these big clubs, are their names so ingrained in the public consciousness that you should almost be able to use them because they're institutions that are just sewn into the fabric of the country by now? But I do understand, I've had people pinch clips of me, normally to take the mick, and it is a bit galling. For someone like me, I need the publicity, but Manchester United, I guess, don't, and they're defending their intellectual property. So get your thoughts in on that one. Down in League One, where we have the biggest mess. Remember, the guesswork is saying that League Two is all done and everyone will vote against it. They'll get big majority there. Championship, the guesswork is they're going to play on, there's going to be lots of words in ears from prospective teams trying to get into the Premier League to say, no, we've got to keep this going and make sure the Premier League can relegate 3 teams. The most kind of dodgy, messiest place was League One, and it looks like Tranmere and Mark Palios, who was high up in the FA once, they look like they're now the team everybody's looking at, taking over from Peterborough last week in terms of the outspoken team at this point. Tranmere, the reason being, are in the relegation zone. Going into lockdown, they recorded 3 straight wins, have a game in hand over AFC, AFC Wimbledon, who have lost 2 less games than Tranmere, and a lot of people do point out that teams have had 37 games to find their positions, etc., etc. So Palios said that people who are saying relegation's integral to the integrity of the pyramid, he says that's lazy analysis and a convenient soundbite. So we've got this situation where we're now guessing how teams are going to vote, and basically, if you don't know, there's 2 choices. We either curtail now, which means we go straight to playoffs. If you're in the top 2, you're getting promoted on points per game. If you're in the playoffs, on points per game, that is, after that has been applied, which put Wickham up into there, then you're going to get possibly 3 games for promotion. And if you're in the bottom 3, you are going down. And Tranmere don't like this. They've become the poster boys for it's not fair. I know I've said quite harshly, it's not fair, doesn't cut it anymore. And I still stand by that. It really doesn't cut it anymore. We need to find a solution, and what's going to be a perfectly reasonable solution to one team is not to another. So no, it's not going to be nice for Tranmere, because if they don't get to play on, then they are going down, and their argument is they're in good form. And of course they would have survived. Everyone's the optimist with these games left, aren't they? So we will see. It strikes me that the only people who'd really want to play on now, why would you want to play on if you're Coventry or Rotherham? You get this vote through and you're done and you're promoted. Away we go. No more testing costs, no more games to put on. Get your contract sorted out and take your Championship TV money. Why would you want to vote? I heard Joey Barton and Gareth Ainsworth saying as well that they would want to play on because they think they could get top 2. I'm just not so sure about that. Given the choice, do I want 9 games where I could potentially mess it up, or 3 game shootout, including the playoff against a familiar team? I think I'd go for the playoffs and the 3 games. So I can see even Wickham and Pompey, Oxford, and Fleetwood. I could see them voting to stop. It's only really the people just outside the playoffs or just above the relegations that would have, just inside the relegation zone, that would have any kind of inclination to play on. And of course, with Bolton and Southend so far adrift, they'd probably think, well, we're not going to make it anyway, so let's call it quits. So I think, I'm sure I'll be wrong. We've been wrong about votes in the past 4 or 5 years on major world issues, haven't we? Surely, though, you're going to see a majority of people vote to stop, and Tranmere will not be happy about this at all. So get your thoughts in on how you think people are going to vote. It's happening now, isn't it? It's happening this weekend. We should have results by Monday, so expect some fun and games there. Speaking of fun and games, we haven't spoken about Jonathan Leko v Kiko Casilla for a while, and Jonathan Leko has done an interview on Sky Sports. Remember, I was at this game, it completely passed over my head, I didn't know anything had even happened, but obviously it's well worn. Casilla comes to gather a corner, he shouts something which we've heard reported in the in the legal findings was, I don't want to say what it was, but we know an offensive racist term accused of. Casilla has denied it right the way through, but in the end was banned for 8 games. I don't want to debate the actual case. Go and read the literature on that. And I think I got down the rabbit hole so far with that one at the time that it was, look, unless you're Kiko Casilla or Jonathan Leko, or who's the other guy within earshot, Macaulay Bonne, you don't know. I think they're really the only people that know. And a couple of people say one way, a couple of people say the other way. But Leko was on Sky Sports. He said, I'm just glad it's over now. I was annoyed how long it took to get dealt with. I think Leeds were annoyed with that as well. I think the question was getting everybody together to get the evidence, wasn't it? And loan players and all sorts. So I remember Adam Forshaw he was getting treatment in America and giving evidence in the middle of January or something when it happened in September. So someone just said on Peterborough, Dembele, Smodjic and Tony would fire Peterborough up. So there you go. Everyone's optimistic here. Leko added, that probably made me feel bad because nobody was listening to me or taking me seriously. The interesting bit he's added, I've had nothing from Leeds, the Leeds United side. It surprises me a bit as I thought I would get some sort of an apology. I remember, I guess from Leeds' point of view, their player denied it. So I guess if you're standing by your employee and your employee says this is my position, I've been misquoted or didn't say it at all, or something's been lost in translation here, then you would stand by your player. And an apology often is an implication of guilt, isn't it? So I can see why they wouldn't. He says it's done now, and the interviewer said, would he welcome a conversation with Casilla? And Leko said outright, no, I don't want to do that. I can see this from a couple of sides. It is ugly and unseemly, and it's all been dealt with now. And to be honest, I think a lot of Leeds fans prefer Meslier in goal anyway than Casilla, but obviously that's not the point here. That's neither here nor there. But is it right just get this swept under the carpet like Leko's suggesting, or if there was racism, which there's no real it's hearsay, isn't it? The evidence or whatever's written in that report. Would it be better if you could get Casilla and Leko talking? I don't know. Sometimes those things come across as a bit hammy, don't they? And these sort of forced apologies and conversations. So let me know what you think in the comments. Is it let sleeping dogs lie now? And Casilla's obviously there was no appeal, was there? So they've obviously accepted it and moved on. But interesting to see that case come back up. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Excuse me. Obviously, a bit of a contentious one. So be nice. Luke says if it was Calvin Phillips accused of being racism, they would still be dealing with it. Jaggy Babs, they punished him out of fear, not facts. Yeah. It's just a contentious one, isn't it? When it's hearsay. But what I'm more interested in is, do you think a conversation now would help with Leko and Casilla, or should we let them do what they want? And the fact that there's been no conversation means neither of them want a conversation. So move on. Really, Luke says it's hard to prove. Yeah, without a microphone, you can't categorically prove or disprove it without a microphone behind the goal there. So yeah. One other story I saw today, which I thought I would bring up, was that the San Siro, home of AC Milan and Inter Milan, they've now got the green light to knock it down, and they're going to be building a new 60,000 stadium for both. My first question is, why don't English clubs share stadiums? Is it just that our fans can't be trusted and we're too tribal? I wouldn't have thought we were more tribal than some European. It's always been mooted for Liverpool and Everton, hasn't it? You've had this massive stadium there, and that they could share, and it'd be better for both of them, but it'll never happen. So the San Siro is going to be knocked down. The new one's going to be smaller. It's going to be holding 60,000. To be fair, it is often quite sparsely populated, isn't it? The old San Siro. My memories of it were just of this massive football cathedral, the towers in the corner, the twisty things going up, two massive stands on each end. Just incredible stadium. I don't know if anyone in the chat or in the comments has been there. I have been there. John says Norwich and Ipswich can share. John, it's 40, 50 miles apart, isn't it? No chance. This is the same city. I was lucky enough to be there to see Ipswich play there in the UEFA Cup. Sadly, there was only 30,000 people. It actually did look pretty sparse with 30,000 in. But just incredible to have visited there. Obviously, one of my first football memories, really falling in love with football was Italia '90. I remember the first game was there, wasn't it, with Argentina and Cameroon. And I remember West Germany who went on and won, played their games there. And I remember Klinsmann scoring and jumping up like that and panning away and looking as a kid thinking, look at this stadium. Jesus Christ, I would love to go there. Then Football Italia. I remember I was watching that George Weah goal against Lecce. I definitely saw that happen in real time. And I think Ray Wilkins or Joe Jordan or someone was commentating. So brilliant stadium. Let me know if you have been there. John says Birmingham share with Cov. So it's possible, yeah. I think that's more under duress from Coventry's opinion. But yeah, thoughts on that ground going? Is it the last of the great European grounds? I suppose the Bernabeu and the Nou Camp, but apparently can't fill the Nou Camp anymore, can they? Lowering the pitch the whole time. So there you go. So yeah, thoughts on the San Siro? Let me know if you've been there, and even if you haven't, let me know what the greatest stadium you have been to. Jamesy says went there in January. It will be a big loss. Yeah, just a magnificent stadium. Right, before James says a lot of European stadiums are owned by local councils. As a Blade, I'd rather watch this in a park than Hillsborough. Lovely stuff. Ellen Rose says Jaggy, some bias there. Martin says hoping Mick can keep us up. He's talking some of Luton there with 9 games to go. Yeah, Luton are going to want to play on, and I think we'll go. I think it's going to be pressure on Championship teams. Don't ask me how, but I think there'll be pressure on Championship to see them play on. And Needown asked if I've seen the Barca documentary. No, I have not. Nick says Hertha Berlin. If anyone's seen the Barca documentary, get your recommendations is in there. I think that's an Olympic stadium, isn't it? Berlin, possibly. Bally Note says he was in the San Siro with Leeds. Incredible. What was the score when Leeds were there? Because Leeds were good when they went there, I assume. Ipswich won. Be glad when it's all over. Can't wait. Sheffield United continue their good form. Get your questions in. If you're in the chat, please hit that like button, because apparently it does. The thumbs up button apparently does good things for my algorithms. Right, if anyone's got any questions, we will take them. John says French National Stadium just after 98. Well, what was that one called? I can't even remember what it was called. Oh, Leeds drew in the San Siro, did they? Who scored? Richard was there as well. Ground from the outside, yeah. Not so impressive inside. I do remember we got held in there for ages because there was 10,000 Ipswich there. I'm sure there was probably more Leeds, but Charles says Shakhtar v Arsenal, £6 to watch. Where's Shakhtar? That's Ukraine, isn't it? Martin's enjoying the stream. Great stuff. Dominic Matteo. Wow. Oh, and he's just had come back from a bad illness, isn't it? So yeah, great stuff. Dominic Matteo. Wow, I thought you were going to say Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank or something. Jonathan says sort League 1 and 2 out with a penalty shootout if they can't play. Paul says hope Leeds go up for the good of their club. Supporters deserve Premier League football. Yeah, there'll be a loss to the Championship, but who are we going to get to replace them? Hey, we could get Villa back, so we could get a big club go up and a big club go down. More people talking about this this San Siro business. 8,000 Welsh fans Edmund was there with. Animations asking about Oxford. Oliver asks, how can Championship clubs realistically continue to operate without any income? I do not know. They've got more chance than League One clubs with those solidarity payments. Stade de France, says John, was the 98 World Cup one. It's a good question. You could get a situation where it's very, very hard to start next season, especially in League One, and we hope you don't get this crazy business. I mean, I'll put my hands up as an Ipswich fan. It'd probably work out quite well in our favour, but if you have teams that just can't afford more than 300 quid a week or something for their players, then it's not going to do well. Matt asking if he can send pictures. Tweet Matt at Benjamin Bloom there. Animation, who's an Oxford fan, says think he'd rather play Fleetwood than Pompey, so quite happy on points per game. Oxford are going to end up with Pompey, aren't they? What transfer price is going to be after this? Much lower, I think. Leeds fan in there talking about Ben White. That's going to cost a pretty penny, isn't it? That's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. But I don't want to annoy Leeds fans because I know how many there are of them, but I think it's going to be hard for them to get Ben White. Again, we get this issue in the Championship now where teams are focusing on loans then like Villa, just to have the same team they had last season, cost them a fortune, didn't it, just to pay off the loans? But hey, if that's your short-term gamble, then away you go. Luke says Sunderland need to get promoted into the Championship to take Leeds' place. Yeah, I suppose Sunderland couldn't they? They just need to get the feeling back there, because even when Sunderland were up, there's a lot of empty seats and tiers of the ground being closed. And then when you go to Hull and the top tier's closed in Cardiff. Needown says Liverpool and Man City reportedly following Ben White. We all admit that Leeds are big, but they ain't Liverpool or Man City, are they? John says Sunderland behave. TV money next year should help the lower divisions more, says Charles. I think we all agree with that. Worst Championship signing this season? Difficult one, that. I don't know. Anyone in the comments on that one? I'm sure there's someone who's gone for loads of money. The best way for us to get Ben White is a loan back from whoever he signs for. Yeah, potentially that could be the case. You'd think Leeds would have done some clever deal like they've done with Jean-Kevin Augustin, but there you go. Richard says Leeds are bigger than Man City or Chelsea. In some ways they are, yes, in some ways I agree. Best Championship signing this season? God, I can't even remember who plays for anyone anymore. Crikey, who's made a big impact? Dean Garner was a really good one on loan, wasn't he, for West Brom? Maybe Pereira as well for West Brom made a really, really big impact. I suppose Ben White on loan's been really, really good. I'm sure there's someone who's come in for a couple of $100,000 who's going to go for a massive, massive profit. T. Cuffiv, I think that says, our club's entitled to government bailouts. Not at the moment, but hey, we'll see what happens in the future on that. I'm sure the public who are not football fans might be a little bit annoyed about that. Clem asks, do you think the Championship table may look very different with empty stadiums if we carry on? Yes, I absolutely do, Clem. And I think, I've said this a few times, I think there's going to be a team that comes back and just loses every game. You've seen how these games get a bit weird a bit quickly. I think there's going to be some interesting things. And obviously next season's likely to be behind closed doors for at least half of it, if not more. So we will see. Martin says PFA have told players not to take a pay cut. I see Reading have done a deferral today. A lot of clubs have done deferrals. So yeah, interesting. See what happens with bailouts and wages and things of that nature going forward. Wonderful stuff. Great numbers in the chat. Keep your questions coming if you want me to keep going, and I will. I hear Gabe. I don't know who that is. Jaggy Babs. You'll have to smarten me up. Otherwise, I'm sure he's making a fool out of me, and it's probably a Oscar-winning actor or something. But yeah, not sure who that was. Let me know if there's any more questions. Hopefully, people will start leaking their votes tomorrow, and we'll have something to talk about there. Someone asked me my opinion on Bamford. I did a whole video on Bamford and looked at the evidence. So if you go back, yeah, we'll see. Animation. Do I think Oxford would stay up in the Championship? I think Oxford would have quite a good chance of staying up in the Championship because they've got a joined up pattern of play and strategy there. So I think they'd be okay. There's always enough basket cases in the Championship to see. Someone just asked me a good question and then I've forgotten it because they appear and disappear too quickly. Well, maybe it should be a whole playlist of Bamford-related opinion videos. Yeah, everyone's got an opinion on poor old Bamford, haven't they? I think generally the feeling with Leeds fans is that yeah, he could score a few more, but generally he does a good job and he's very good at following Bielsa's 1,000 instructions per game. Thank you, Martin. That was the thing. Kelvin Davis links to the Luton job. I'd love to see that. Kelvin Davis was great for Ipswich. Though I do remember being behind the goal as a young man. Ipswich lost to Luton in the League Cup, and he was giving us some there. So I've never forgot that. Dave says Pride Park worth every one of the 80 million. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the FFP on that. How do I rate Phil? Right, I'm not falling for that one, Jamesy. There we go. Oliver says I love Patrick Bamford, Huddersfield fan there. Certainly, he's one player that all Championship fans, because it's not like the Premier League where everyone knows every player, isn't it? So. My girlfriend Abby said you've got nice hair. Thank you, Abby. That's lovely. Does she wear hers long as well? This is just it's getting really stupidly long and it's not getting cut until July. I've got to go back to work as well in a week, so we'll see. John says Bamford overrated. Never rated him. I think there's a fair few people fall into that category. Whether he can do it in the Premier League or not remains a completely different matter, doesn't it? Right, let me know any more questions. 100 people in the stream, absolutely outstanding support. Please hit the thumbs up button, which apparently is good for my algorithms. Does anyone know how the Bayern game ended? It was 4-2 when I finished watching. And also, would anybody booked into the barber tomorrow? Wow, I didn't think the barbers were open. Dear oh me. If anyone would be interested in any kind of watch along on the Dortmund game, I might do that on Tuesday. Harry says, I love Bamford, you have to see him. Yeah, there's a lot of unseen stuff. Best Championship player not to play in the Prem, Ross McCormack. Matt, he lives in Milan. There we go. Why do you need barbers in Milan? I thought all the Italians were a bit thin on top. No, I'll take that back immediately. I'll get loads of crap for that, won't I? There we go. Get your views in on the San Siro then, Matt, if you live in Milan. People are prejudiced against Bamford because he's a bit posh. There might actually be something in that. I think he's if you looked on the rich list, the JCB family are in there, aren't they? Prefer Britta Sombalonga myself over Bamford. I'm sure Britta Sombalonga is going to be very available if Borough stay in the top 6. Opinions on Reading? Well, they need to cut. They need to cut their wage bill, stop spending stupidly, and keep the same manager for more than 9 months and get a nice pattern of plan. Hopefully, they can have another better season than they did under Jaap Stam, who obviously was we were having a bit of fun with Jaap Stam and mistaken identity on Twitter the other day. Now manager of FC Cincinnati. I thought Stam would be. We'd see him back. I thought he'd have a few championship jobs. There we go. How many years do you think it will be until Ipswich come back up? What, to the championship? God, hopefully not many. Sheffield United was 6, wasn't it? So. Yeah, we will see. I'm not hopeful at the moment on the Ipswich question, but sadly, and I don't want to sound like a horrible football fan here, but Ipswich are going to be one club with wealthy owners who might be able to ride the storm a little bit better than a lot of the smaller clubs. Oliver asked, market players values as a Huddersfield fan. We were onto a good profit for Grant. Yeah, well, everyone's worth less now, especially someone like Carl and Grant. So Sheffield Wednesday was 7 years, was it? My God, I really hope Ipswich aren't down for 7 years. That would be shocking. But hey, we've had Leeds down there, we've had Forest down there, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday. Lots of big clubs gone down there, haven't they? So in regards to Oliver's questions, every value is going to go down. I just don't know what's going to happen to the market. You really don't know, and you think clubs with cash in the bank will be at some kind of advantage, but players always get pilfered, don't they? Honestly, don't think our players would see a difference if it plays behind closed doors. Our support would be awful. Who do you support? CLC. Calling out as own support. Then how long did it take Leeds to go up from the first? And we've got loads of Leeds in here. They'll probably tell us a couple of seasons. Wasn't it, under Simon Grayson there? Do I think Bielsa will stop at Leeds if they don't go up? Not sure. Really not sure. I just can't see Leeds not going up now. I mean, Leeds could literally be promoted by Monday if they vote to stop, couldn't they? So, we will see. 3 years in League One for Leeds. Yeah, different time that. Ken Bates, wasn't it? And administration. And Leeds relegated at home to Ipswich Town, weren't they? I'm sure the Leeds in there will remember that, and a pitch invasion there. John says, didn't he already say he'd go? But under different circumstances. I think he was talking about pre-COVID. So maybe he would see the burning injustice of them not going and carry on there for another season. Harry says Leeds in Europe in 2 years, hopefully. When the away fans was in the cheese, I wasn't there that day, but I know a lot of Ipswich fans were rather scared. So we will see. Moving on, what do I think the wage limit should be in League One? What were they talking about? £3,500 a week, is that right, in League One, and 1,750 or something in League Two? Simon Jordan's been a big proponent of it being rated to turnover, so at least then clubs who can legitimately draw big revenues get a bit of a help. Someone said brilliantly in the comments on one of these streams, though, clubs needing a wage cap is like an obese person asking Tesco not to put any chocolate on the shelves. They've got to help themselves first, haven't they? They really, really have. But if we see a wage cap, I guess it'll have to be done all the way through the EFL, and it might make it not very competitive. Dave said, Mel Morris said the other day he'd be happy for the league to finish now. Interesting. And obviously Derby waiting for the result of their FFP field as well. Jeff says hopefully Norwich will be sponsored by Tesla next season, so the flood goes down flood again. Yeah, Norwich have just lost a sponsor. This must probably be the worst time to get a new sponsor possible. I'm sure someone's going to underpay for that, but look, Norwich are either going to be in the Premier League or at the top of the Championship next season, so probably worth. Cyber says, isn't Norwood on about 10k? I can't confirm what James Norwood is on, Cyber, but yes, one would think any wage cap that came in would be on any new contracts negotiated, so people like James Norwood could keep their nice League One wage. Remember though, no transfer fee for Norwood. So Phil says Norwood won't be at Ipswich next season. I've heard similar things actually. Impressed with West Brom in second, still wanting to play the season out. I hope they are. I think it's Luke who said that. I really hope they are, but I think what people are saying publicly and how they vote might be two entirely different things. If I'm West Brom, why do I want to continue? I could be promoted tomorrow, but yeah, there we go. This Leeds fan will still be following your channel, Ben, if we don't go. That would be wonderful. We've still got Sheffield United and Villa and Norwich fans. All sorts of people who did get promoted and kept on following. By the way, I must say this now, if games are staying behind closed doors, I will have to do some Premier League and general news and bits and bobs, but obviously I will keep honed in on the Championship and keep the knowledge going there. Jeff says new Norwich sponsor will be Lotus. Indeed. I would follow football news. Yeah, great. If hopefully people will understand that I have to diversify, because my channel was built on going to games and sitting in my car and talking about them afterwards. Luke says Leeds would not vote points per game. We don't want anybody saying we've been gifted. Look, come on, Leeds fans, you know you can't win. Everyone's going to accuse you, whatever. So maybe these votes should all stay anonymous, but they're not going to, are they? And I'm sure all the owners have been on the blower to one another. Sorry I'm late. When is the vote on the Championship? That is all Ali games. It's happening now. They've got 5 days since Thursday, so we should know by Monday. Ipswich and Sunderland could legitimately argue about paying more due to being recent League One converts. If I was Leeds, I'd vote to stop and take promotion. Can't argue with that, can you? Do I ever think there'll be a European breakaway? I think there might be some kind of change. If I was the Premier League, I'd go 16 teams, Premier League 2, and I'd make some Super Bowl type grand final thing if I was Premier League. I know that's traditionally not how we've done it, but it's all about TV. What an audience they would draw if they could guarantee that grand final for the Premier League. And also the only way, literally the only way that the Premier League is going to give any kind of crap about the second tier is if they also run the second tier. So that would be the way. I've said on a couple of videos, Premier League 16, Premier League 2, 20, EFL, and then a North and South may be something that would happen. Lots of alleged goings on at Swindon. Interesting. Yeah, we had someone talking about Swindon. I wonder whether that promotion will actually go through. We'll see if that commenter can come back with any more info on Swindon there. That would be great, because we're expecting, I think Swindon jump up on points per game. I think they win do they go above Crewe? I think they go all the way up. Steve says playoffs involving Premier League and Championship teams to finish the season. Steve, I'm against that personally, because I think you should compete against second tier teams to get to the Premier League, and I think Premier League teams should compete against Premier League teams to stay in the Premier League, if you know what I mean. I think given all the even parachute teams in the Championship had a massive advantage. Imagine the advantage over that. David said, did I say that that voting would stay anonymous? I said it should do, but it won't. It definitely won't, will it? I think we can get a lot of people lobbying, and then whatever the result, I mean, look, Tranmere are going to come out and tell everybody that they've voted to play on, aren't they? So I think, like in the Tranmere situation, or if it's Luton, Barnsley, Charlton or whatever, they're going to want to send a message to their fans that they didn't give up, that they would have been willing to give it a go to get their team out of relegation. Same with Millwall and Bristol City. Peanuts asks, what are thoughts on National League playoffs happening? Yeah, I think there should be National League coming through. Lots of people say that Barrow should just take Berry's place anyway, but yeah, I think you need promotions and relegations, I have to say. So yeah, I would be a fan of that. We did have playoffs between top division and the old Division 1 many years ago. Yes, we did, Clem, because in the first year of that, Ipswich managed to lose. Ipswich being terrible in the playoffs forever, they lost to Charlton in that format. And yeah, it's happened. There must be a reason why they got rid of it, though. I just think that second tier competes with second tier, and then they get a chance in the Premier League. Really, would Fulham beat Norwich or Villa or Bournemouth? I just don't think it's a fair fight, is it? They've got billions of pounds worth of TV money compared to next to nothing in the Championship. So Clem says, well remembered. If you check back on the channel, I've done a lot of playoff research, and I think Derby, after the final last season, Derby are now as bad as Ipswich, having been in 8 and only won 1. So yeah, Derby and Ipswich are the worst in the playoffs. And strangely, Ian Holloway was like the playoff guru earlier in the century. He got Blackpool up and into a final, and then he got Palace up as well. So I think Warnock's won a couple of playoffs as well in his time. So yeah, I don't need any reminding. Reading a 5-1 none. That's shocking. At least Ipswich and Barnsley have 1-1. Yes, I play casual. Says should be top 3. Going to struggle with that one, aren't they? Because that would be a rule change again if you're overriding the playoffs. I don't think, because then essentially third place would vote for that, but 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, etc. wouldn't. Yeah, Leeds had Charlton as well. Did Peter Shirtliff score? Did he score for Charlton in that one? He's a Yorkshireman, isn't he? Peanut says, as a Barnet fan, I really hope we get a chance at promotion, such a bad financial state. Peanuts, you'll be very, you may be unhappy to hear that I was one of the glory hunters at your stadium to see your brilliant cup draw against Brentford. Was that last season or the season before? So brilliant. Leeds have lost all 6 playoffs. God, dearie me. Jeff says, if the season stops before the game to finish, teams on the same number of points, goal difference, settling relegation. I think they'll just go into points per game, won't they? For that one, Leeds also beat Charlton 6-1 season before we went down, and that was a poor season too, says Harry. Forest had been in 4 and lost them all. I've actually chatted to Sir David of Johnson about that. I remember them somehow losing at Bramall Lane that one. Their system is flawed, RE playoffs, like a heavyweight boxer taking on a cruiserweight. Yeah, lots of differing opinions on the playoffs. Obviously, as a neutral, I love them, and I've been to all the Championship playoff games over the past couple of years and had a great time. But when Ipswich were in them, I felt physically sick for all of them. So yeah, I know what it's like when I was sitting there as relaxed as anything around lots of anxious fans last season. Peanuts, that was in January. Yeah, no, I do remember that, because Ipswich, I went there twice that season actually. Ipswich had a pre-season friendly in Barnet, nice little ground of that. Although I got my coat caught in the seat. I remember distinctly the guy put his seat down next to me and ripped rip the grounds. Terry says, any news on Sheffield Wednesday and Derby points deduction? I have to preface this because Sheffield Wednesday and Derby fans beat up on me and say that they haven't been found guilty yet. They've only been judged, and if they are found guilty, a lot of kind of hearsay that the EFL are probably sitting on the findings already and just waiting to see what's going to happen. Another question about the transfer market from Will. I think everyone assumes it's going to collapse, but we will see. This weekend, 2 years since we beat Villa in the playoff final, that'd be Trevor. I was there, Trevor. I saw all Fulham's games in that playoff final. I remember it well. Steve Bruce bottled it a bit in the final, didn't he? He was too cautious, too scared of Kearney, Johansson and McDonald, wasn't he? Do you see the death of Southend United coming? Says Chris. Club looks in a very bad way. Well, God, hopefully not. But look, if Southend have to kind of mothball it all and have a big clear out to survive, and maybe you drop even further, then that's what they need to do. But yeah, in a bad way. So Macclesfield money wise as well. 20 years ago Monday, Ipswich in the playoff final. Love it. Personally think that selling your stadium for 80 million is a masterstroke to fund a promotion push. Well, yes, we will see about Pride Park's £80 million valuation. EFL seem fairly sure of themselves in respect of the charges there. Quick reminder, if you can hit that thumbs up button, apparently that's good for my algorithm, and I'll stay on a few minutes longer. I think I'm going to go and watch more Money Heist lately. So not if it's illegal, says Harry. There we go. We'll see. How much is a stadium worth? Who was it that was it Birmingham that then valued their stadium at like 1/4 of what Derby's was worth, just to stir the pot or something? Birmingham was like valued at 23 million afterwards, just to stir it up a little bit there. Reading even sold their training ground, didn't they, as well as the stadium in a separate thing as well. So murky, in the words of Stormzy. Thank you for all the people who've just hit thumb up. That's gone nicely. Sheffield Wednesdays isn't the stadium, it's the date of selling it in the paperwork. Yes, John is correct. And interestingly, the individual charges against Sheffield Wednesday have been dropped, haven't they? Old pointless question, but do you think English football would benefit from having Celtic and Rangers? I think my YouTube views would benefit from having Celtic and Rangers. That would be absolutely superb. That would be great, wouldn't it? But I'm sure it'll never happen for bureaucratic reasons. And where would that leave Scotland? But and I'm sure in fairly quick succession they'd get through the divisions, wouldn't they? But there we go. Harry says the Rooney deal was dodgy. I doubt he will be. I didn't quite see the end of that. Leeds purchased Elland Road last year for 15 million. Is that right? I thought Leeds pay rent on. Oh no, they pay rent to Radrizzani, doesn't he? But Trevor says, what's the best way to contribute money? Well, that's lovely. If you've got some, you can do a super chat on here or a donation. Your hair looks like mine, says someone. You lucky person. Elliot says, up the bees. I was on the phone to a friend of mine who works at Brentford the other day, and he's going to give me a remote tour of the new ground. So, didn't West Ham sell their ground for less in London? Yes, they did. That's very true. East London or not, we'll see. Keep the leagues the same. UK Cup. That sounds like an interesting idea. I'm sure Celtic and Rangers would be all over coming down, wouldn't it? It would increase their strength greatly. There we go. It's Alicia saying that Lee should finish off next year. I think several thousand contracts might preclude that from happening, but that would be the solution everyone would like, wouldn't it? Wait until we can all come back, but money talks sadly on that one, doesn't it? Right. If everybody is through there. Good fun here. Let me know if sort of 7:30 is a better time to stream. More funny videos, says Elliot. Am I funny? I don't know. I try and be all smart and know what I'm talking about rather than funny. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. I can't see what that says, Dave. Is that a typo? Just promote us. I've had enough of waiting, says Harry. What will happen if the Chinese investors move out? That'd screw West Brom, wouldn't it? Who else has got Chinese ownership here? Jeff says situation with contracts finishing. I think if it's just going to be playoffs, that helps the contract situation, doesn't it? Because surely they can do the month's grace to the end of July and get that all locked up before the end of July, and then those players under contract, and then of course you're only looking at 4 clubs worth. There's going to be a lot of players who are going to be taking pay cuts, put it that way, next season. It's going to be hard making a living. John says Chinese owners, don't know what you're talking about. That's Birmingham. I think Dave tried to spell Leicester. Oh, okay. Oh, in that kind of East Midlandsy accent. There you go. I wonder if a long-haired YouTuber covering the Premier League for Leeds fans. I'll be there. Don't you worry. Cool. Let me know if you want a watch along with the Dortmund thing, and we'll see. Who do I think will win the playoffs in League Two? Peanuts, I'm not well versed enough on League Two, I have to say. I can just about talk with some authority on the Championship, a little bit on League One, but League Two, I'm afraid I can't help out on that. Hull should just be relegated for being Hull. I think if we play on, Hull aren't going to be voting to play on, are they? For goodness sakes, they were the ones free falling, in the words of Tom Petty. I still think Championship's going to play on. I just think it's going to happen. That's a good question, isn't it? Southwest Grizzle, which team's going to be most effective by playing behind closed doors? I don't know, but you see weird collapses in these games. You've seen it in the German ones so far. So someone's gonna go under massively. You've heard, that the teams with the loudest crowds, your Leeds or Millwalls or people like that, will they get a disadvantage because they're used to such intensity from the audience there. So who knows indeed. Right. I've said farewell a couple of times. I'll say farewell properly now. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Absolutely brilliant numbers tonight. Hopefully there's some news tomorrow and I will be back. Thank you everybody for the nice comments in here. If you're watching on delay, then get your comments in as well. And I will see you all very, very soon. Hopefully some news and some leaked votes coming tomorrow, and then maybe some seismic stuff on Monday. That'll be a lot of fun when the results come through, won't it? Right, thank you everybody, brilliant. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the comments and driving the narrative for the last 30 minutes of this. And I'll see you all soon. No, that's not a Leeds scarf, it's an Ipswich scarf, for goodness sake. Can you even see back that far? Right, see everybody soon. Thanks for watching.